Who is the future of each division in the UFC is the question that we will be answering in this video, starting with the first weight class in the UFC, where I'm only doing the men's weight classes because the women's weight classes are too shallow to do this video on. And I'm going to try to look down the rankings a little bit because, there's a lot of obvious answers if you're in, the top, 5 area and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to go down a little bit in the rankings. Some of them are already ranked, some of them aren't, but I hope you guys do enjoy. The first fighter will be for the flyweight division, which is Tatsuro Taira. This dude has crazy good grappling. I mean, it's pretty much his only skill so far, but he's so young, he's hungry. You can tell he wants to make something out of his career. So Tatsuro Taira is definitely someone to look out for in the flyweight division. This division's kind of hard because, I've done a whole rant about this division in another video. This is the most shallow division in the UFC, but as far as flyweight, I think Tatsuro Taira is as good as it gets. He's young, he's undefeated, good ground and pound, great submissions, needs to work on his striking though. His striking is absolutely horrendous. It was absolutely horrendous in his last fight with, let's find that out right now. Okay, so his striking wasn't too bad against Carlos Hernandez, but his striking was horrendous against Edgar Chairez. Edgar Chairez is alright though, so maybe he just made Tatsuro Taira look terrible in the striking area of the fight. But Tatsuro Taira, man, what's there not to like about him? 15-0, good ground and pound. You can tell he really wants to be here. But the striking really needs some work, and honestly, I think he could work on pacing a little bit too. He seems to, be a little too young and, try to jump the gun a little bit. But let's move on to the next fighter, which will be for the bantamweight division, one of my favorite divisions, which is Song Yadong. Now, Song Yadong, 26 years old, great power, unrelenting pressure, coming off a loss to Petr Yan, but, Petr Yan is the elite of the elite in the weight class. A loss to Petr Yan at 26, 27 years old is not a big deal at all. You still have so much time to learn and grow. And I thought he looked good in that fight. I thought he looked good in that fight against Petr Yan. I even picked him to beat Petr Yan, which in retrospect, which was not a great take, but I thought he performed extremely well considering the level of competition. He's very well-rounded. He can wrestle, he can strike, he has great power. So his wrestling kind of sets up the ability to strike extremely well with people like Petr Yan. Petr Yan was having PTSD flashbacks to Merab Dvalishvili when he fought Song Yadong. So I think he's going to go far in this division. He's hungry, great performances against some of the elites in the division. Corey Sandhagen, Petr Yan. This guy he needs to work on his pacing, and then I think he's got everything down. If he paces himself a little bit better. I thought he kind of blew his load a little bit in the first round against Petr Yan. It's not like he completely gassed out or anything, but I feel like if he saved a little bit more energy, he could have got more done in that fight. But yeah, Song Yadong got a bright future ahead of him in the bantamweight division. Let's move on to the next fighter in the featherweight division, which is Diego Lopez. Amazing and super well-rounded in his debut. You're going up against Movsar Evloev, who is top 5 in the featherweight division, and you're putting on a performance like that. I know a lot of people kind of like to knock that performance and chalk it down to Movsar wasn't ready for him. He took the fight on short notice, and Diego Lopez, there's not a lot of tape study on him. But even since then, he's looked great. He's dominated all his other opponents, and the only loss on his record right now is to Movsar Evloev in the UFC anyways. So I think this guy's got a great future ahead of him. I could even see him being a featherweight champ, in fact, and I think he will be a featherweight champ. He's hungry, wide open division. Alexander Volkanovski just lost the belt, so, he gets a few more fights, and he could be looking at a number 1 contender fight, which is crazy because I feel like he just came into the UFC. Great fight IQ too. He knew exactly what to do with what's his name? The guy everyone thought was going to beat him because he's got good grappling. Pat Sabatini. He showed a great showcase against Pat Sabatini, knew exactly what to do, rolled into the mounted triangle choke, and got Pat Sabatini to tap fairly easily. Got a TKO in his fight before that. This dude's just a savage, and I think he's ready to, move up the rankings and ready to get into competition. He's young as well. He's just about to enter his prime. I believe he's 28, 29 years of age. What does he need to work on? His striking. His striking isn't bad, but I feel like if he really dialed in his striking, this dude could be a serious problem and maybe even a long-time champ. Let's move on to the next division, which is... Wait, there is one more thing I want to say about Diego Lopes, and that is that dude's so well-rounded, very skilled everywhere. I think he beats names like Ige, Emmett Chikadze, Bryce Mitchell. I mean, those are pretty good names, but I do think he will beat all of them if he were to get matched up with them. The only question mark I have there is really Dan Ige. Dan Ige is also very well-rounded and has gnarly power on the feet. So I could see that being a trouble fight for him, but I think he beats all those guys. If he was booked against any one of them, I would pick him. Let's move up to the next one in the division, which is lightweight. And for lightweight, I have Benoit Saint-Denis. I know he just had that brutal loss to Dustin Poirier, but he had staph infection. His cardio was terrible. So I even have on my list here that he has good cardio, because he does have good cardio. I mean, you look at all of his other fights, he puts a relentless pace on his opponents. I mean, crazy pressure, you know, just putting you up against the cage, beating the dog shit out of you. I mean, head kick TKO'd Matt Frivola. Great power, speaking of head kick TKOing people and just KOing a lot of people in general. Incredible submission ability. I mean, this guy, he has great submissions if he can get you to the ground. Decent wrestling to accompany it. So I think those kind of work in tandem. And he's got you thinking about the takedown shots. So he's probably going to knock you out. Young and hungry. Very much, you know, a prospect to keep your eyes on. Very young. Going to be around for a long time. And hungry to get to that belt. What does Benoit Saint-Denis need to work on? I believe that Benoit Saint-Denis needs to work on his striking defense. If there's one thing we saw in that Poirier fight, it's that he had terrible striking defense. If Poirier wasn't constantly pulling guillotines, you know, every 30 seconds, he would have got Benoit Saint-Denis out there faster. That's unarguable. So, I mean, if he patches up those holes in his game, I think he's going to be a serious problem for the lightweight division and a future contender for sure. Let's move on to the next division, which is welterweight. For welterweight, I have Ian Machado Gary. Amazing use of distance. Listen, this guy, his wingspan for his height is not that great, but he's got long-ass legs. Those teep kicks are going to go to work on you all day. Those leg kicks, those head kicks. I mean, look what he did to Neil Magny. Made it so he couldn't even walk. After one leg kick, too. Great striking. Good pacing, you know, he's great at pacing himself. We saw that in the Jeff Neal fight. Doesn't blow his wad too early. Pause. And, I mean, he pieces combinations together fairly well, in my opinion. He's got the great straight punches, great body shots, you know, throw the kicks in there. This dude's great at striking. He's undefeated. He's got KO power. I mean, what else can you ask for in a welterweight prospect? I mean, I know everyone likes to shit on Ian Machado Gary, but he's got an incredible skill set to become a champion one day. I even think if you threw him in the ring with Leon Edwards right now, he'd have a competitive fight with him. I wouldn't pick him to win, but he would have a very competitive fight with him. And visual improvements every single fight. Every single fight I see this guy, or every single time I see this guy, you know, he's got new additions to his game. You know, he's looking cleaner, looking more tidied up. So I really like Ian Machado Gary as a prospect in the welterweight division. This one's a little further up on the rankings, but still, you know, I do think he's the future of this division. And his nickname, I mean, even kind of alludes to it. What does Ian Machado Gary need to work on? His striking defense. Dude got rocked badly and dropped by San Kanan. I mean, he's very hittable. I will say that. He's very hittable. I even considered picking Jeff Neal in his last fight because I thought Jeff Neal may have been able to knock him out, but I mean, Jeff Neal just didn't do anything for 3 rounds, so he lost the fight. And his grappling. I mean, he's in Brazil working on his grappling, you know, as we speak, so I do think he's trying to get better grappling, but if he gets better grappling, I mean, and he's able to set up the striking with the grappling, oh boy, this dude's going to be a future champion for sure. Next up, we're going to be moving on to middleweight, which is Anthony Hernandez. I would have put Roman Kopylov on this list, but then Anthony Hernandez goes out there and submits Roman Kopylov. I mean, Merab-esque cardio, seriously. This guy can go and go and go and go, and he will never stop pounding you into the canvas. Pause. Massive pause. But good power on the feet, amazing chain wrestling. Like Merab, he will never stop. He's unrelenting. If he fails a takedown, he's just going to go back in on another single leg. Amazing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. This guy, most of his wins are by submission. I mean, he's got great positioning for submission, but I do like that he prioritizes, position over submission. He tries to control you, and then once he gets you to a good spot, then he'll sink in the rear naked choke or the arm triangle or whatever other submission he wants to go for. And ability to impose his will. I think this is a big deal in the bigger weight classes when you're able to go out there, put the pace on someone, and make what you want to happen in the fight happen. So I'm going to pick Anthony Hernandez for the future of middleweight. I don't know if he'll become a champion. I think it's a pretty big possibility. I mean, not a lot of these middleweights have the skill and the grappling like Anthony Hernandez has. What does he need to work on? His striking technique. I think his striking is good, but I think it could always be better. He was getting clipped up by Roman Kopylov on the feet, kind of getting minced up by those elite level Russian striking techniques. So, I mean, if he patches up the striking, this dude's definitely going to be a champion someday. Next up, we're going to go to the next weight class, which is light heavyweight. This guy's already ranked, but he's kind of what I consider to be the dark horse of the light heavyweight division. I should make a dark horses tier list. If I did, this guy would definitely be on it. Nikita Krylov. Crazy fast, good submissions, well-rounded, good power, good defense. I mean, this dude's basically solid everywhere. I mean, sure, his striking could be a little bit better and his cardio could be a little bit better. I mean, your cardio can always be better, but I really couldn't find many holes to pick in this guy's game other than cardio and pacing. I mean, if he paces himself a little better, gets more cardio in training, he won't have to rush as much for finishes, and I think this guy's going to be a serious, serious problem in the light heavyweight division. He is getting up there in age, so he kind of needs to make this happen fast, but there's not really any prospects per se in the light heavyweight division I'm super excited about, so Nikita Krylov's going to take the cake. This guy's a dark horse of the division. I think he could beat I think he could beat anyone in the top 5 given the circumstances are right, outside of maybe Magomed Ankalaev. Next fighter and last division is going to be heavyweight, and I have picked Rebelis de Spain. This guy just entered the UFC, so he's not even ranked. Bronze medal in Taekwondo, so he's an Olympic Taekwondo, not champion, but performer. Crazy KO power and explosiveness, which is really all you need to make it at least into the top 15 of heavyweight. Longest wingspan of the UFC, so he will likely get the first shot off, and with power like that, you're most likely going to sleep. This dude's a problem. Average fight time of 30 seconds. This dude is knocking everyone out in the first round. So there's a lot of question marks like his defense, his grappling, his cardio. We don't know. We haven't seen anyone survive past, I think, 50 seconds or something. Or I think someone may have survived the first round. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments if I'm wrong about that. But average fight time of 30 seconds. There's so many unknowns about Rebelis de Spain. Will he gas out? Does he have, holes in his defense? I mean, we kind of saw Josh Parisian hit him a little bit, but I think that was more of a slip than anything. So, and his grappling, we don't know what shit about his grappling. He could be a god at grappling. He could be, the worst grappler of all time. He could have Justin Gaethje-esque BJJ defense. We don't know, but so many unknowns. So that could be a positive or a negative, but overall, I do think Rebelis de Spain will thrive in the heavyweight division. Most of the heavyweights are just not very skilled at all, and I don't know. I mean, I think pretty much all you need is some good power, some good striking technique, ability to shrug off the takedowns, and you'll become a champion in the UFC heavyweight division. I'm just kidding. I'm not going that far, but I do think he will be top 5, sometime in 2025, I'd say. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Kind of a random video, kind of a quick video. Just wanted to pump something out real quick for you guys. If you did enjoy the video, please make sure to like and subscribe, as it does help me in the algorithm. And comment down below if you want more types of videos like this, or if you have any other ideas. I'm always open to ideas, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.